Back for more?
Pleasure doing business. Later.
Hello.
Still making a nuisance of yourself? There's usually a gun merchant hanging around topside. I'm sure she'll take care of you. Do I look like a fucking arms caravan to you? Do you think the gun runners keep the NCR military supplied by carrying weapons and ammo from the boneyard out here by the armload? Get a clue. We have caravans. We deal in bulk. The gun runners have been putting rapid-fire death dealing in the hands of anyone who needed to defend himself for over a century. We're the NCR's #1 supplier of weapons and ammunition. You might call us an unofficial branch of the Army. Not much to tell. A Brahmin or two loaded up with weapons, and a whole mess of well-armed guards to make sure it ends up where it's supposed to. One nifty bit, though. The gun cases are rigged to explode, so trying to loot one of our caravans doesn't do much good. And that's how the NCR stays equipped. The only thing we don't bring in is energy weapons. We used to, but every caravan carrying them was getting ambushed and wiped out by someone sophisticated enough to know which was which. We think it was the Brotherhood of Steel. Those crazies always go hard for energy weapons. But the NCR would rather pretend they killed all of them. We're just muscle. Alexander's the man to talk to.
Hi, mister. I hope you're doing fine today. I don't have a mama or papa anymore. I see them sometimes when I take off my medicine, but they can't stay. I'm pretty used to being on my own. Oh, I don't sell things, mister. I sell thoughts. I can take off my medicine and do some thinking. People say it's real interesting. I don't know, because I never hear it. Some people say that it's a gift. Other people say it's the kind of thinking anyone could do if they watched more than they talked. I don't know which is true. I see a lot. I think a lot. There's a lot to hear through the 188, too. That maybe accounts for the thinking. Great. What do you want me to think about? I can think about you, here, or everywhere. What do you want? Okay. Let me take off my medicine. Your face does the thinking. 2 to the skull, yet 1 gets up. Odds are against you, but they're just numbers after the 2 to 1. You're playing the hand you've been dealt, but you don't let it rest. You shuffle and stack. And a gamble. A gamble that may pay off, but how? Forecast? Rapidly changing conditions. A lot of thinking. Most of it in your face. It's almost shouting at me. Sorry if I said anything weird. See you later, alligator.
It's amazing what passes for a firearm around here. It's better off throwing
You a merc? 'Cause you don't look like a prospector. Sure, no problem. Hello.
You gotta piss someone off to pull guard duty out here.
Hey there. Need anything?
Sure.
How may I serve you, master? Welcome to Repcon headquarters, Rocketeer. Come all this way to see our little facility, have you? I'm here to answer any and all questions you may have, within specified parameters. And if you'd like, I can provide a tour of our museum. Excellent, excellent. Please be patient. The tour will begin in just a moment. Ready for the Repcon tour, Rocketeers? Courtesy of the fine folks at Robco, I'll be your guide today. On the path of... scientific discovery. In the lead-lined case behind me is a spent radioactive rod from one of our old reactors. No need to stand too close. Let's move along, shall we? Look here, a row of multicolored plasma fuels. Careful, they may look safe to drink, but your stomach is the last place they should be. Why the difference in cylinder size? Refining our production methods has resulted in higher yields of fuel over time. That's why. To my right, you can see a sample of some old safety barrels Repcon once used to store radioactive waste. Perfectly safe. On my left is an example of a mountain of Repcon safety barrels some legislators claim are poisoning our environment. Ridiculous. Behind me is our most recent rocket project, which we're keeping under our hats until launch, if you'll pardon the expression. And in front of me is a model, not actual size, of the launch dome we are using to send our rockets screaming into orbit. Now these colorful fellows behind me are Repcon's earliest experiments in flight. Feel free to read the plaques and learn, Rocketeers. Now for the highlight of our tour. Due to a generous donation from Robco, this next exhibit showcases the wondrous world of robots. Around you are the incredible iBot, the fearsome SentryBot, and the always helpful Mr. Handy. That helpfulness runs through our whole line. This is the final stop on our tour. This model of our solar system is a small example of where the partnership between Robco and Repcon hopes to go. See those little rockets zipping about? They are manned by robots, tirelessly looking for resources to mine on planets beyond our own. And that's it for our tour today, Rocketeers. Robco and its tiny partner Repcon thank you. Any further questions? Please, feel free to ask. Yes? Did you have a question? I can answer whatever questions you'd like, provided your query is limited to Repcon history, research and development, or Robco. Repcon's illustrious history began way back in 2054, shortly after the famous Delta 11 rocket was completed and launched. Repcon's initial focus was on the development of fuel to be used in orbital propulsion, in response to the energy crisis of 2052. Sad times indeed. The company really took off when Robco purchased Repcon in late 2076 to develop unmanned rockets to explore the solar system. Very well. Feel free to... The tour showcases Repcon's amazing scientific contributions, and the promise of many more, coupled with its parent company, Robco. Goodbye, Rocketeer. Be sure to visit again. Oh, and please, for your own safety, stay outside of restricted areas. Of course. Don't let me keep you. How may I serve you, Master? Invalid facial pattern detected. How may I serve you, Master? Hello, Mrs. Millet. I hope you have an excellent day at work today. course, of course. Don't let me keep you. Of course, of course. Don't let me keep you. How may I serve you, master? Of course, of course. Don't let me keep you. Third floor access is for executives only. Please identify. Thank you, sir. Have a nice day. Third floor access is for executives. Third floor access is for executive. Hello, Mrs. Millett. How may I serve you, master? Valid facial pattern detected.
Watch yourself if you're heading further south. There's been trouble down by Nelson.
Hey, I've still got guns and ammo.
Medicine's running low again. I appreciate how you've been helping us so far.
The gunrunners ought to help the followers by donating some of that firepower they've got. The gunrunners ought to help the followers by donating some of that firepower they've got.
The followers are always on the look for new friends like yourself. Good things
The
for the
followers are always on the lookout for new friends
I
like
hear you've done
yourself.
some good things for the followers.
Hey. It's been a long tour.
Morning. Nice job out there.
We won't go quietly. The Legion can count on that. Patrolling. What you want, Holmes? We don't talk too much, mostly. Poindexter's a smart-ass prick. While Hanrahan's a big pussy, ain't good for shit in a fight. And Mags? Well, Mags is cut out for something other than soldiering, you dig? Whatever. Not like I need any of them. I do just fine on my own. What do you want to know? Whole place used to be some kind of rich bastard resort back before the war. Now the Rangers use the old resort and we grunts get to live in tents. Fucking typical. Shit, man, it was this or the Fiends. and fiends don't last too long in the NCR. At least this way the badasses with the top shelf guns are on my side. Right.
We won't go quietly. The Legion can count. Glad to see you haven't gotten yourself killed yet. I guess I wanted to make something of myself, you know? Be the best of the best. I wanted to be a ranger, but guess this is as close as I get.
Howdy, great to see you. I ain't scared. I just don't like hurting folks is all. Ma always used to tell me, boy, you're the biggest and the strongest, so you mind yourself. Every day she told me that. Guess I done took it to heart. They're mostly pretty nice. Poindexter showed me how to make fireworks. Raz kind of scares me sometimes, but I don't mind. He's had a hard life. Toodaloo.
Hello. I'm assuming you aren't associated with the Army or the Rangers. What can I do for you? In a strictly official capacity, no. However, as I am by far the most intelligent and resourceful figure on this base, I feel it's safe to say the soldiers here look up to me. Genius is seldom appreciated in its own time. I somehow suspect you'll be back to converse with me later.
You should talk to Chief Hanlon if you have any questions. He's usually up on the balcony. Haven't had any reports from Station Charlie in a while. Hope everything's okay. Hey. We won't go far. The Legion can count on that.
Back west, you don't see too many of these. Lakes, I mean. Natural or man-made. Any kind, really. We neglected the dams or pumped all the water out a long time ago. Owens, Isabella, the San Luis. Drained the aquifers of everything they had. Just a lot of mud and dust now. It's a different feeling watching the sun come up over the water. Takes some getting used to. But if you're here long enough, it starts to seem normal. That's what a ranger's life is now, looking east. You must be the courier folks have been talking about. Word on the radio is that someone wronged you back in Good Springs. The Mojave has a way of burning decent people up, but it sounds like you've done right by the NCR. It's appreciated. Now what can I do for you? It's no secret we've had better campaigns. Holding this whole length of river isn't easy. We're stretched thin and the long 15 just keeps getting longer. Slow to get supplies, slower to get reinforcements. NCR's Senate has got funds tied up at the boneyard. President Kimball ordered our most experienced rangers to chase ghosts down at Baja. Senate elections are coming up. Local representatives don't want to push any more funding to the Mojave campaign because it's unpopular. Most of the folks around the boneyard haven't been to New Vegas and probably never will. All they know is that their money gets sucked away to this desert and their brothers, sisters, sons, and daughters die here. It's complicated. Goes way back. I told President Kimball that we need more rangers here. He accepted that, but took the most experienced ones and sent them south. Patrol rangers are good men and women, but we're about to fight a war. You've seen it yourself. Some of them don't even have proper service rifles or armor. Our heavy infantry, power armor units, they're back in NCR territory protecting the interests of Brahmin barons against small-time raiders. Brahmin barons only have one vote at the ballot box, but they have a lot of money to throw around. The best of the best, worst of the worst. He came out of NCR, one of the followers of the apocalypse. Like a lot of the followers, he went out in the wilderness with a partner to try to help those who needed helping. Not much different from how the Rangers used to be, except with books and medicine instead of guns. Out to the Grand Canyon, he met a missionary from Utah, a man by the name of Joshua Graham. Graham helped translate for the followers and the tribes. All three of them got nabbed by the Blackfoots down there, back when they were still at war with every other tribe in the Southwest. Somewhere along the way, he realized he needed to educate the Blackfoots or they were going to get wiped out with the rest of the tribe. Showed them how to use guns, how to make explosives. Once he taught the Blackfoots a thing or two, they needed him. And he no longer needed the followers, NCR, or anyone else. He decided he could remake the tribes of the Southwest whether they wanted it or not. He became Caesar, and Joshua Graham became his legate, his right hand. And that's where Graham stayed until Hoover Dam. Losing the dam was the worst defeat the Legion ever suffered. Graham had been with Caesar since the beginning, but he had to set an example. The Praetorians covered Graham in pitch, lit him on fire, and down into the Grand Canyon he went. It's not that clear-cut. You have to understand Graham was the toughest son of a gun anyone around these parts had ever seen. Before Hoover, we had 5 kill reports on Graham from Rangers and 1st Recon sharpshooters who tried to take him out. Some folks think he's still alive. Call him the Burned Man. Yes and no. The Blackfoots don't exist anymore. just like any other tribe that gets swallowed by the Legion. Caesar takes the tribal out of the tribe. Scrapes and burns off tattoos, breaks up families, forces mixed breeding so all the old loyalties die away. The only tribe in the Legion is the Legion. Caesar is their chief, father, and god, all rolled into one. Not too long ago, they took Nelson and Searchlight. They got some camps on the eastern shore of the Colorado, and the monstrosity on the hill across the lake, that's for Caesar. Some folks don't believe he's here yet, but you can tell. He's the eye of the storm. It all roils and spins around him. You don't have to see the man to see the effect he has. Nelson was barely set up. We had a big stretch of unprotected land between Forlorn Hope and Searchlight, and Nelson was the solution. A deaconess named Dead Sea took the place and caused a lot of damage. Searchlight was worse. One of Caesar's Frumentari must have found something in there. Flooded the whole camp with radiation. I could tell you a lot if you had the time, but at my age, I'm not sure which of us would get tired first. What do you want to know? Suppose it depends on what you think's good. Most folks want to hear about Hoover Dam and Boulder City, but it's a long story. If you want some tall tales about hunting down slavers or busting up gangs, talk to one of the younger rangers. It's kind of a long one, but all right. About 25 years ago, a group of NCR settlers pushed way south into Baja. I guess it doesn't seem so far now if you look at a map, but back then they were out of ways. They built this little shanty town around a well in the middle of nowhere. Called it Rattletail. Word got back to one of our stations that raiders had been attacking the place. I went out with 6 rangers. We must have been on the trail for a week before we got to Rattletail. We lost one woman to night stalkers and another almost died of dehydration. When we reached the place, it's 6 shacks set up around an old well. There's over 24 bodies lying in the dunes way outside of town, and 5 men with .308 rifles crouched behind sandbags. And these bodies, these people out in the sand, they aren't raiders, aren't even heavily armed. They're just people who were trying to get to the only well in 50 miles. I didn't have to talk to the men to see that they did not care one bit. They had planted an NCR flag over the well, and they would not budge until every last one of them was laid out dead and cold. So I walked up and told them there was a group of raiders coming, 100 strong. I made up some cockamamie name for them and everything. The men looked at each other, looked at us, and asked me what we were going to do about it. I told them we would take them back into NCR territory because we'd already lost 10 rangers on the way out. 10 rangers, 5 men with .308 rifles. Well, that was enough for them. They packed up what they could and we took them back north. Last I heard, they settled somewhere in Anza Borrego. Raised bighorners. Had some tough times, but it worked out okay for them. So there you go. That's my one bit of good. In big battles, Caesar deploys his legionaries in waves. Recruits up front, prime soldiers behind the recruits, old guard bringing up the rear. Opponents wear themselves out dealing with the first 2 waves, if they survive that long. When the veterans step up, there's not much fight left. Caesar can adapt, though, and when required, he can run any mix of legionaries as skirmishers and still retain order in the ranks. Joshua Graham, Caesar's old legate, he wasn't so flexible. When the Legion attacked Hoover Dam, General Oliver ordered his troopers back to the middle ground just after first contact. Graham pushed all of the legionaries onto the dam, filling the east side with recruits up front and veterans in the back, by the book. But once they were in, they were stuck there. Oliver's troopers were entrenched and wouldn't give a foot. That's when we ordered the Rangers and the 1st Recon sharpshooters to start picking off veteran Legion officers from a high ridge west of the dam. That only lasted about a minute before Graham ordered the back ranks to push through to the front and rush the ridge. Caused total chaos among the younger legionaries. Oliver's troopers fell back to the side walkways and stayed out of the veterans' way. By the time the veterans got to the ridge, we were already in Boulder City. They followed us down there, but we were out before they realized what was happening. We had packed the old city with C4 and dynamite. Crude, but it did the job. Those who didn't die in the blast were in no position to mount a defense. The ones left on the dam didn't know what to do. The troopers routed them. Graham pulled the remaining legionaries back, but the battle was over. He went south, back to the Grand Canyon, back to Caesar. And that was the last we saw or heard from Joshua Graham. Folks around here call me the Chief, but Hanlon's just fine. The Rangers run themselves pretty well, but I try to lend a hand. Mostly administrative work, helping coordinate intel on the radio. That and keeping an eye on the fires growing across the water. It's a simple system when it works. Patrol Rangers radio intel to ranger stations. Comm Rangers send the intel up the station chain until it reaches Camp Golf. Then I or one of the other Rangers on duty organize the data, evaluate it, and send information to camps or troopers in the field. Comm Rangers might have an incomplete picture of the situation. There's a lot going on out there. Intel needs to be coordinated through Golf so we can verify and advise appropriately. Troopers have enough to deal with. We don't want them questioning their intel. Adios.